Well, YouTube, welcome back to another video by Crafted Shutter, and today I'm going to do some equipment review. I'm going to talk about the Sony A7 III, which I've had about 2 months now. I've been able to shoot quite a few projects with it, and not a ton of stock, but a fair amount. And just want to go over why I picked it and just talk about some gear today. So I hope you enjoy this. This video that you're watching right now is being shot by my Canon XC15, a highly underrated camera. I love it. I bought it to replace my video camera because it's a small sensored camera, but it does a really good job, and I have used it on several stock shoots. And if that camera gets a APS-C sensor, I will probably be on board for that. I have been shooting years Micro Four Thirds, and Micro Four Thirds is a fantastic system. I am not a gear snob. I don't care if you're using Fuji, Panasonic, Sony, Canon, I don't care. All right, because to me, the vision of the person taking the image and how the image draws me in, because when I look at an image on Instagram, I don't really care what camera took it. I just want to know if the image speaks to me. So that's how I approach all my gear. And there are reasons why I buy gear, okay? Now, a lot of people say the lens size, you have a full frame. The bodies aren't that big a difference in size. They're pretty close, okay? But the lenses are a little bit different. This is a 24-70 equivalent for a full frame, and it's tiny. This is a full frame 1.8 Sony lens, and I'll take the hood off of it. And this is a Micro Four Thirds equivalent of, it's a 25 equivalent 50, 1.8 on this one. And you can see the difference, but the funny thing is they're about the same weight. And this is not that much harder to manage than this one. This one looks a whole lot better when you're working with clients than this one. I love it for travel, but for professional work, not so much. So, what do I think about the Sony? Right now, I'm going to jump into a clip with you. I did a 30-second spot of a corporate shoot, and I'm going to let you see it was shot with this Sony, and let's watch that right now.
I'm Dr. Ashley Lowry, and I'm with Rutherford County Family and Children's Dentistry, and today we're going to talk about the importance of changing out your toothbrush. Really, the important time to change your toothbrush is when you start to notice it getting worn, when the edges start to get frayed. That's usually about 3 or 4 months for most people, but not for everyone. Or if you've been sick, or if you think that you might be sharing it with a family member, just try not to exchange those germs within the family.
Okay, welcome back, everybody. As you can see, that was I felt did a great job. This camera did, and I used an HLG profile for my color, and I bumped the saturation up 2 or 3, depends on your camera. But that's the color untouched. That picture's completely ungraded. It's just how it came out of camera, and that's the kind of profile that I look for, especially when I'm in a hurry or want to do something and have it done without too much post-processing. That being said, this is a big lens. It's a 1.4 Rokinon, and that's what I shot the video with at 1.4 with the autofocus locked on the face, which leads me to my first point, is the autofocus on this thing is fantastic, all right? Don't let anyone tell you different. It makes a big difference when you can set and tap and lock on a face or an object, and you can go through YouTube and watch videos ad nauseum about all of that, but needless to say, it's really good. Another feature that really sets this apart for me is the shallow depth of field on the full frame. The reason why I bought it is because a lot of times I'm in situations where I want to blur the background. I can do it with a Micro Four Thirds. It's just a little harder to get the amount of blur that I want with it. And I know I've shot it for years. I don't want an argument over this or that. But to have autofocus at a 1.4 aperture on a Micro Four Thirds is impossible, first off. And second, I need it because of some of the places that I shoot where I can't get model releases for the people behind the person I'm shooting, or I want to blur out a logo or something on a building, and when I'm downtown or something, this comes in really handy. And so that's why I went back to a full frame system. It's nothing to do with snobbishness. It had to do with need. Okay? That's what it was. And I don't care what camera you use. You can get amazing low light, beautiful pictures with a GH5. In fact, that's probably the best video camera on the market, especially for stock. It's really good. It's just not what I preferred. Now, another thing I like about this is I have programmed here the zoom function. That's the crop mode, where if I have this lens on here, I hit this, it zooms in and still keeps it at 4K or 1080, and not much quality loss at all. And then I can digital zoom on top of that on my next button. That's a little bit of loss in quality. I would only use it if I really needed to get a certain shot, okay? The color profiles for pictures, to me, the Canon always does a really good job. The Sony I have to work a little bit harder at. I have a custom profile programmed in here for my photos. I shoot RAW plus JPEG, and I have to work a little bit more with the files to get them where I like them, versus with the Canon, they look pretty good coming out of the camera. Yeah, all in all, I'm not disappointed. It's just a little bit more work in my opinion. You know, on the video side, I'm actually starting to like the color a little bit better out of this Sony than I do sometimes the Canon. So that's interesting to me. You know, it's small, it's light. This lens is big, I know, but you can get smaller lenses. I'm going to get a wide angle lens. I've already tested this on my gimbal, and it flies really nicely. I have the Giant Crane version 2, so it's not the newest one, but no problem balancing the A7 III on it and moving it with the 51.8. What can I say? You know, one other tip here for you. It's a pro tip. I really want you to pay attention to this because it can save you some money. In that video that you watched, this is the audio setup I use, and this is a Sennheiser G3 Lav system. And this little cord, I'll link it below, is what I plugged right into the camera. So I just took this, and this is a little base plate I had from something else, and I just Velcro it on there when I'm shooting, and I plug this right in there, and it's stereo sound, and I adjust my audio levels on the camera. The preamps are pretty good, and it's really easy and light setup that way for your mic. And of course I plug my headphones in and monitor the audio while I'm shooting. But that's pretty much my setup for corporate gigs aside from my lighting. And this little cord, 10, 12 bucks, whatever it was, it saved me from buying an XLR attachment to put it on here, because after testing the audio a lot of times, found it to be really decent. So that's another thing about the camera that I really appreciate. So if you have any questions, you can leave it in the comments below. Again, if you're shooting with a Fuji, a Panasonic, it's great. You know, don't get hung up on gear too much. I'm just explaining why I got what I got and why. But you know, if I just had the XC15 and that's all I had to shoot with, I have a wide angle adapter for it, and I can get shallow depth of field. I have to work a little bit harder to get it, but it produces a fantastic image and is pretty good in low light. I could make a living with it. I could probably make a living with my iPhone if I really worked at it, because lighting and other things are a lot more important, and that's an area that I'm working on improving on. I have a little decent LED light here, but I need to get a, you know, a 120D, you know, some better lighting setups, and work on my lighting around here a little bit. So hey, hope this was helpful. Leave comments below, subscribe to the channel, use the affiliate links for your gear. It helps the channel, and we will see you in the next video.